Welcome back to the Thin Blue Line Briefing Room podcast. For this fifth episode, we have my father joining me to give his stories and experiences of his 30 plus years out in the field. So, kind of continuing off of the end of our last episode, we had talked about you at Grady County for a good number of years. What was your next steps there?
Next steps after being there for so long? By the time 2018 came around, I'd been in law enforcement for 24 years. And I just couldn't see myself staying in it long enough to actually retire, because at that point, the sheriff's office retirement system was a rule of 90. So your time in service plus your age had to equal 90. Being, the third in command there, there was no opportunity for me to go any higher at the time. So I decided that after 24 years, it was time to try something different. So I got out of law enforcement. I went to work for the city of Oklahoma City as a construction inspector. The intent of working there as a construction inspector was not to stay doing that, although it was pretty rewarding. Met some people, made some friends, and learned some things. But my intent was to get into information technology. And so I stayed as a construction inspector for 7 months. Had the opportunity to apply for an IT position, which was managing all of the camera systems for the city of Oklahoma City. Got that job, moved into that job, still have that job. I had a promotion since then as far as a pay grade and responsibilities, but that's what I do for the city of Oklahoma City full time, is I manage the citywide camera system. So any city building, any city structure, city monument, anything property that is owned by the city, if it has a camera on it, it's my responsibility. So I started that in 2018, still doing that job. But as far as on the law enforcement side of it, I thought I was completely done. I gave away equipment. I gave away tactical pants and shirts and jackets and all kinds of things to young guys that had not been in the business for very long. So I was going to be completely done. And less than 1 year, I was back in the game. I was friends with several people with the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office, which is where I started back in 1994. And through having some luncheons and just interactions with my IT job with the city, the captain at the time with Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office convinced me to help them with some of their IT needs. And so I made the decision to take a reserve commission with the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. Even though I'm a full-time certified peace officer for the state of Oklahoma, I'm a reserve deputy for the the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. And basically that means a volunteer. So there are things that I do that are paid. There are things that I do for the Sheriff's Office that is on a volunteer status. But with my job with the city, it gives me the knowledge and the ability to contribute to the Sheriff's Office, where they don't really have a budget to pay for some of those things that we can provide for them for free. So my involvement with the Sheriff's Office is I'm assigned to two different teams. I'm assigned to the technology team and then also the bomb squad. So on the technology team, one of the duties that we have as a responsibility is to maintain the mobile data computers, assist and maintain the portable radios and mobile radios for all of the deputies. We have a subscription to the Oklahoma City Police Department, or Oklahoma City's radio system, And so we don't necessarily program, we don't necessarily maintain the handheld and mobile radios, but we coordinate that. If somebody's having a radio problem, we are the go-between with Oklahoma City, with Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. If they need a new battery, if their radio gets broken, if that needs reprogrammed, they need a shoulder mic, or they need an earpiece, those type of things. And like the mobile data computers, everybody has to complete a background check, which that's part of their employment, have fingerprints on file, complete some online training to be able to have access to the mobile data computers. And by having access to the mobile data computers, MDCs, they have the ability to, query tag information, driver's license information, criminal history, and those type of things. So it's critical, especially when you're a patrol deputy, to be able to run a tag, run a driver's license, see if somebody has a warrant, see if somebody's wanted for any particular reason. So we maintain the back end of the deputies being able to do that. There's a few other things, desktop support and things like that, actually for the sheriff's office that will assist in. And then like our sheriff's office just moved dispatch centers from one location to the other. So we help set some of that equipment up, like TVs on the wall that need to be able to display extension monitors, or have weather or maps, or even just news. And so we set a lot of that stuff up for them. And then that's kind of about it on the sheriff's office side as far as the technology side. And then on the bomb squad, we are, I and some others, we're on support staff. We're not bomb technicians. For the sheriff's office, we currently have 2 certified bomb technicians, and but everybody else on the team is in a support role or pending their bomb technician certification. But everybody on the team does the same thing. We all set up the same equipment. We're all responsible for setting up the disruptors, the X-ray machines, maintaining the bomb suit, assisting the tech to get in and out of the bomb suit. It's pretty heavy. Driving the truck to where it needs to be. All of those setup things, the things that we cannot do as in support role, is we don't actually put the suit on and go down range and manage any kind of a hazardous device. So, in my age, in my experience, in my time in my career, I am totally good with that. I don't need to be kicking indoors anymore, and I don't need to be going around range to handle a hazardous device. So as long as I can still contribute, that's where my role is right now.
So with the bomb technicians and the whole squad, so on campus, I think 2 years ago we had that bomb scare or whatever, and the squad was called out. What's kind of like the protocol, but also the processes and like procedures when y'all do get called out, and what do y'all do?
Well, I can't give you any time frames, because time frames would violate some of our operational security measures. So I can't tell you exactly how long it takes us to do something, or how long we might wait to do something. But operationally, if we get a call out, the team commander and potentially a bomb technician is going to do a first initial assessment and determine whether or not the rest of the team gets called out. If so, then we'll receive a message. The rest of the team will either respond to that location, or we might respond to the staging location, typically where our truck is stored. And deploy from there. And so, an example, we had an incident at Tinker Air Force Base to where a particular device may have fallen off of a truck, and we had our bomb team commander and one of the technicians respond initially and evaluate whether or not they needed the team. And so they activated the team. We all responded to the location where we park our truck. We maintained and made sure that all of our gear was ready, and just staged there. And then they determined whether or not we needed to actually respond on to Tinker Air Force Base. In that particular case, we were not needed. They actually brought in some military personnel to handle that particular ordinance issue. And so then we were released from that particular one. But, each occurrence is just different on how we respond. We do have some set procedures. We do have some set protocols and processes. I don't know that they're necessarily secret, but we just don't advertise them. We don't really discuss some of those processes because we never know where any of this information is going to go. So we don't want to really divulge how long we wait or how we process any of those situations because, somebody could use that nefariously.
All right, we're going to be switching to a more technical segment of some more detailed bits, and I'm going to let them explain some different ammo and different weapon types.
So as far as our duty pistol is the Glock 45 model. It is a 9mm. I currently have a Streamlight TLR 7X Lite attached and a HoloSun fiber optic attached. The magazine itself holds 17 rounds plus one in the chamber, so that's 18 rounds. I carry 2 extra magazines on me all the time when on duty. And that's pretty much it. We just changed to this one. I used to carry the Glock 17, which was almost the exact same pistol, but it was a longer slide, but the same size grip, and we were required to change to this one with the optic and the light. So there's that. And then there's the Remington 870 shotgun, which this is a 12 gauge pump action shotgun. I keep it magazine loaded, the magazine tube loaded with double aught buck, which is double aught buck. Each shell has 9 pellets, and each pellet is a 32 caliber pellet. So for every trigger pull, it's going to send 9 shells, 9 pellets down the barrel. And then in the side saddle is a 1 ounce slug of lead. This is definitely the people stopper, the car stopper, the whatever stopper it needs to be. Now you do have to be more accurate with a 1 ounce slug because it's just a single projectile. To where the 9 pellet double aught buck, you don't have to be quite as accurate because it's going to spread and it's 9 rounds going down range at the same time. But in this particular ammo, this is flight control ammo. And so it's engineered to be a little bit of a tighter group. So even at a good distance, 15, 20 yards, it's not going to be a really big spread. But this is that's the standard police shotgun is a Remington 870. Other departments do use other manufacturers, Mossberg or Benelli, or what are some of the other ones that are pretty infamous for law enforcement work? Those kind of the main 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, those are kind of your staples in anything.
Yeah. And so then the other weapon of choice is typically an AR-15. Now, AR does not mean assault rifle. AR started out as an acronym for Armalite rifle. AR was Armalite rifle.
Yeah, it was actually the brand.
It was the brand. And so it's been dubbed for all of the other manufacturers of an AR-15, even though this one here is this is a rock. No, this one's not a Rock River. This is a Radical Firearms. They're a manufacturer out of Texas, made in the USA. This one is technically classified as a pistol. And the reason that it's a pistol is because it does not have a fixed buttstock, and the barrel is technically shorter than 16 inches. So this is a 10.5-inch barrel with a stabilizing grip. It has a light. It has a fiber optic sight. And then it has flip-up sights that are over here on a 45-degree offset that I never use. So they're a little stubborn to come up. That way, if the batteries fail on the fiber optic, I can always revert over to the iron sights. Typically, it's chambered in a 223, 0.223 millimeters. Or 5.56 NATO round. Basically exactly the same thing, except one is manufactured for a wide variety of countries, really, is the way that it's a good description, because European models, any overseas, they typically refer to the 5.56, which is a 5.56. But here in America, we typically refer to the .223 round. They're almost exactly the same. They really are exactly the same as far as the physical size and the amount of fire gunpowder that's in there. The projectile that actually is sent down the barrel and out the muzzle is exactly the same. The designation is just a little bit different. But that's the three main weapons in law enforcement. There are some other specialty weapons for longer range shooting. Maybe Cody can be a little bit more familiar with some of those long range weapons, but these are the main three that I use, that I have at my disposal.
Yeah, and I mean the AR is really a very versatile gun because the way this one's set up, you're talking anywhere from 50 to 200-ish yards out. As long as you can be accurate with whatever you've got on your scopes and stuff. But there's a lot of modifications and everything that you can do with these type of weapons. With the 5.56 ammo, like you said, that and the 223 are pretty much the same thing. From what I've always heard, though, is you can shoot 223 in the 5.56 chambered, but you don't want to shoot 5.56 into a 223 chambered weapon. But you're really only going to come across that in like long gun, quote unquote, sniper rifle style weapons. But as far as like modifications and everything like that, if you had this is set up more for kind of close combat range, whatever you want to call it, with the shorter barrel and everything like that. Your barrel is going to be really your biggest deciding factor on how far you're able to be effective with your gun or anything like that. With this being, you said 10.5?
That's a 10.5. So with typically on an AR system, we're talking about twists. How many times that bullet, that projectile, actually makes a twist as it's going out the barrel, and a 10.5 is pretty much the shortest barrel length that you can get, and the round actually getting one full rotation before it leaves the barrel.
Yeah, so you can modify these almost any way possible. You can change out different barrels, different muzzle brakes, different grips, different buttstocks, and everything like that. But really, if you're wanting to try and get anything farther than that, you're definitely going to need a longer barrel. With the longer barrel, you're able to get more twists in the bullet itself coming out to help stabilize it through the air and everything like that. You could slap a 16-inch, 20-inch barrel on these bad boys, and you could get as far out as 500, 600 yards. Obviously, you're going to probably need a magnified scope for that type of scenario and everything, which is definitely possible. And the cool thing about these is they break apart. So you've got kind of like the lower receiver here, and then you've got the upper receiver, which is like the bolt, the action and everything there, and the barrel. And you can swap out those to fit whatever needs you want. So you could really get, a 16-inch, 20-inch barrel with an upper receiver attached to it also. And there's a little pin here. You just pop that out. It swivels out. Throw on that 16-inch barrel, and you can get more distance and accuracy out of it that way. You get, I think, about a 16-inch barrel, you're going to get about a 1 6-inch turn on it. Makes it a little bit more effective for like your long range stuff. And that would be more classified, I guess, as like a SPR or a special purpose rifle to help you get out there. But really, if you're going to try and shoot longer distances, anything like that, you're going to really want something that's got a little bit bigger of a caliber, like 308. I know 6.5 Creedmoor is being a lot more popular nowadays. But then you also got to think about, if you're going to be buying anything like that, how available is the ammo and or how expensive is the ammo, I don't really know price per round for 5.56 nowadays, but 308 and especially 6.5 Creedmoor, you're looking at close to like $1.25 per round. So it can kind of get a little bit pricey, but you're really getting what you paid for there. These are going to be about 55 grain ammo in there, with your 308, 6.5 Creedmoor stuff. You're looking closer to that 70, 77, 80 grain. Some of them will even reach up to 100 grain, but that just gives you a little bit more kick from the bottom to help reach out and extend a little bit farther. And the bullet themselves are also going to be obviously bigger, with a point to be a .308 or a 6.5 diameter, for the 308. So they're going to be a little bit more bigger. Kind of two benefits, I guess you could say to that is, one, they're going to be a little bit heavier when they're going through the wind and everything like that. When they're going through gel, deer, whatever you're going to use it for, they're going to be able to punch through a lot more of the carcass, the car door or anything like that. And then they're also going to help not be as affected by like wind and everything, especially when you're shooting out in those longer ranges. You really got to be cognizant of how much wind you've got. Just a lot more data that you could really get into the weeds too there. But typically your bigger bullets are going to be able to withstand that a little bit better, shoot a little bit more straighter with that. But as far as kind of your typical needs and everything like that, 5.56 is going to be really kind of your best bet in anything that you're really going to want to do. It'll cover a lot of your bases for you. I mean, it's not necessarily ideal for taking down deer, but with a good shot placement and everything like that, it will definitely do the job.
So that can work for hunting as well. So not just law enforcement purposes, but hunting. Did you have some ammo handy that you wanted to just kind of demonstrate the different sizes? So that one right here, this is a 12 gauge slug. Well, yeah, that's a 12 gauge.
You said slug.
Sorry, which one?
That's the buck.
All right, so that's double up buck, and that's 12 gauge slug. So this is the one you can see they're exactly the same size. This double up buck, so that's going to have the 9 pellets in it, 9 .32 caliber pellets. And then this one will be the slug that has a single 1 ounce lead slug. And then don't you have the 223 ammo also handy? So 223 and 9mm. So that one's a 223. The projectile that actually goes out through the barrel and through the muzzle is only this part right here. So this part down here is what's filled with the gunpowder. That's the primer that ignites the gunpowder, and the gunpowder is what creates the explosion, which sends the projectile down the barrel. And then that one's the 9mm. So quite a bit different size as far as physical size, but exact same mechanism. So this section right there forward is the round that actually travels down the barrel and out the muzzle. So just kind of a representation of the three different sizes of primary weapons for law enforcement. But then there are others, especially some of the bigger exhibit for the long range rifles. A lot bigger caliber ammo.
And they all have their purpose, I mean, ideally, in a ideal scenario, I guess, you're not really wanting to shoot your 9mm ammo. As you can tell, it's kind of the smallest of the three options that you've got. Now, in a lot of cases, like, that might be all you have and everything, but, if you are having to use, or if you get the choice of whatever you're using, you would definitely want to take the bigger or the faster type of bullets that you've got. And especially with pistols nowadays, there's a whole bunch of different calibers, but a lot of people are moving away from, 40 caliber, 45 caliber pistol ammo to the 9mm, because a lot of studies have been done and everything. And yeah, you do get a slight advantage with those bigger, heavier calibers, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, your 9mm is going to be able to do pretty much the same job that those other ones are going to be able to do, and they're just a little bit cheaper as far as price point goes.
Hey, but let's face it, the whole point of the pistol is because I'm carrying it on me, and this is for rapid use. This is for immediate action. If there's a bigger incident and I need to take a longer shot or multiple shots, this is to get me back to this. So I can take that longer shot. So I can take multiple shots. I can do a lot more work and a lot more damage if damage is needed with this. So the pistol gets me back to the long gun. And that's the whole key. Is the pistol is immediate action, and the long gun's for the longer shots.
Yep. And they're just more accurate. You've got a longer barrel. You've got more twist in it. Your sights are typically a little bit better. You're able to be more accurate with it. And if you haven't ever shot a slug, though, I would implore you to do so, because I think they're fun.
Everybody needs to experience it at least once.
It's just a big wad of metal flying through the wind and everything like that, and you typically get a little bit more kick with them, which you can handle it and stuff. But I mean, it's just a 1 ounce piece of metal just flying through, tearing up anything that it comes into contact with. They're pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just with the quote unquote duck shotgun, you're not shooting, buckshot, which are going to be a little bit bigger of the BBs. And obviously there's like some different rules and regulations that you have to follow with the duck hunting and everything. So you're shooting steel shot, and you can go anywhere from, BB size to #1 size. And these are all the different sizes of like the BBs, all the way up to #9 shot and everything. So there's just a lot of variation in those, but it's pretty much all the same thing, just different sizes of what's actually inside of the shell itself.
All right, well, that's going to be it for this 5th and final podcast of this series. Here we have my father joining me of his 30 plus years, out in the law enforcement field, and me and my brother who have obviously grown up in that life, here to tell our stories, our experiences, And we've hoped to, from you continuing on tuning in through these episodes, hope to at least learn something new. Maybe go out into your life and think about things a little bit differently, and
Go out in your life and think, understand that cops are people too.
And find some fun in it. You know, it's not all scary.
hope to at least, take away one thing from here. So we'll see you later.
See you later.